Hello. Happy Labor Day. Um, I wanted to come on real quick and talk about anything other than the Warner Discovery merger, which I have been talking about for the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, I can't count, videos and lives. I want to talk about anything other than that. So, um, yeah, let's talk about something else other than the merger. Anything else? So we'll start with what I've been watching. Um, Netflix, of course. And I watched, okay, so it's September. And people get way too hyped once it crosses over into September. And they're like, oh, it's September, it's almost Christmas. And Netflix is already showing Christmas movies. And I'm like, this should not be shown until after Halloween. But sure enough, they had a Christmas movie with Brooke Shields and Carrie Elwes called A Castle for Christmas. And I watched it anyway because I had nothing else better to do. and it was a tepid little movie. It was fine. I liked it. I liked Brooke Shields in it. She was great. It was kind of cool. But there was one minor thing that bugged the hell out of me in that movie, and it was that there was like, okay, so I went to film school. And in screenwriting, they always say when you introduce something, you always have to pay it off. Like, say, if you introduce a gun in a certain part of the screenplay, a certain part of the movie, then it's got to go off at another part of the movie. Well, a certain part of the movie, they make a big show of introducing these characters. They make a big show, like there's this little inn, and they show this husband and this wife checking in at this inn, and they're acting very suspiciously. And when they ask who this couple, when they ask the name, the wife, like at this point, the husband has been doing all the talking, and when they ask who the couple is, the wife goes, "Oh, we're the Donatellis." And for the movie, for the plot of the movie, Brooke Shields is she's divorced, and her ex-husband is marrying the woman he left her for at Christmas time. So the way they set this up is making you think that these two people are somehow connected to Brooke Shields, that this may be her ex-husband and his new wife. Because, it's just the way it's set up. It's just like, who are these people? Why are they making a big show of setting them up? Why, like, you're just waiting to find out what was the point of showing them checking in at the end. And we get to, like, you're waiting because, like, whenever you have these different plot points in movies, there's always, like, when you get to the third act, there's always like the third act problem. So the third act problem happens and it's not them. So I'm like, okay, so if they're not the problem, then maybe once they get over this hump, the problem that actually happens in the third act, maybe they sort of come and mess them up all over again. But then no, they don't show up again. And then I'm just waiting for them to, like, before, while they're in their denouement, maybe they'll come in at that point. No, the movie ends and they never show this couple ever again. And I'm like, why did you make such a big deal out of introducing this couple and do nothing with them? And when I look at the credits, I made sure to look at the credits. They did, they looked at them. They credited them as the Donatellis. And so, because they had, the speaking part, so they had to give them names. So it's like the Donatelli. So I'm like, okay, you gave them names, you gave them speaking parts. They're in the credits. They have nothing to do with the plot. What was the point? What was the point? I couldn't even enjoy the movie because I'm just waiting for something to happen that never happened. And it ended. And I'm like, I was waiting for that plot point to pay off, and it never did. It never, ever did. And I'm thinking maybe there was another draft where the Donatellis had something to do with the plot that they rewritten and they forgot to to just get rid of them. And then they shot the movie, they casted the Donatellis, they put them in there, and they forgot, oh, we've rewritten this. Or maybe they didn't rewrite it. Maybe they cut them out. And instead of cutting them all the way out, they left that part in. I'm just trying to figure out how that part ended up in the movie, and it just makes no sense for the rest of the movie. It just makes no sense whatsoever. It's boggling my mind. Yeah. Okay. Also, I tried to watch House of the Dragon. I watched the first episode. It didn't grab me. It didn't grab me at all. I guess, and the thing about it is they had to know this was going to happen. I kept what do you call it? Comparing it to Game of Thrones. And in the comparison, I just kept going, this is just not the same. It's just not as dynamic. It's just not as catchy. It's just not. I don't know what I haven't looked to see what other people have been thinking of it, other because like I know it was watched by a lot of people. I know they got like stellar ratings and a lot of people are watching it. I know a lot of people are watching it, but personally I haven't been. And that first episode just didn't grab me. So, and then I stuck around for the beginning of the second episode, because I was curious to see what the intro would be like. And then, and then I watched the intro and they used the same exact theme song and the same concept for the intro, except instead of using a map of Westeros, they use a map of the Red Keep. And I'm like, okay, I get it. It's Game of Thrones, but 200 years earlier. Fine. But y'all could have at least, like when Law and Order when they have their little spin-offs, they don't do the exact same theme song. They have like there's a little like Law and Order and Law and Order SVU. Their theme song has there's a change in it, so you can distinguish the difference between the two. There's like a change in the notes. So when they're both on, it's like, okay, that's the song for SVU, that's the song for Law and Order. The notes are different. They could have changed the notes for House of the Dragon, but no, same exact song. And it made me feel a certain type of way. It made me feel a certain type of way. I don't know. My expectations, it made my expectations feel like, why should I watch this when I could just go back and just continue my rewatch of Game of Thrones, which is what I did. I went back and because I was on season 2, episode 5, and so I just started rewatching. Now I'm on season 2, episode 7. Was that A Man Without Honor? So I'm on that episode, and I'm doing the rewatch, and I started the rewatch a while ago, but then I decided, you know what, was taking me so long as I get to parts that I don't like, and then I just pause and I stop. But I'm gonna start forwarding through. Like when it gets to with these episodes, I've been able to get through because it gets to the parts with Jon Snow and the Wildling. Ugh, I forward through that. I'm like, I get it. I love the fact that you guys met and fell in love, and there's this beautiful thing, but I'm not with this storyline. And it was beautifully shot. It's beautiful, but I forward through it. But everything else, because at the same time, what's happening is Daenerys Targaryen. This is where she loses her dragons and got to get them back. So that stuff is interesting. So, forwarding through that. And then there's the Robb Stark storyline where he's doing this interesting thing where he's losing the war, but he's winning every battle. He wins every battle, but he's losing the war. I don't understand how you do that, but he was doing it. And it was great the first time watching it, and still great the second time, except every time I see Roose Bolton, every time he comes on screen, I always go, that bitch Roose Bolton. Can't stand him. I gotta scream at him every time he comes on screen. And then he happens to mention Ramsay, and I'm like, oh, that bitch Ramsay. Oh my goodness gracious. They about to bring him in. It's about to be the worst. If you thought Joffrey was awful, oh my gosh. But I'm trying to get through to season 4, the beginning of season 4. That's where all my hope. that's where I am. I'm pushing through to the beginning of season 4, because that's where the payoff starts to begin. But yeah. that's where there's some payoff. And that's what I'm looking forward to, some payoff, season 4. There's some things with Arya, and just other things. Things, of course, with Jon Snow. But what else? Um, I don't know. I haven't watched anything on Disney. I guess I could watch She-Hulk, but with Disney, I hate that they show things 1 week at a time. I prefer to binge watch things. So I think they're on the third or the fourth episode, and I prefer to wait until, like with Obi-Wan, I waited until that show was pretty much over, and then I watched all 6 episodes on the same day. And for me, that was the best thing because everybody was complaining about it, like, oh, this was this was that. I watched it all on one day, and it was awesome to me. I thought it was great. Talking about the House of Dragon. I'm waiting till all episodes drop to binge watch. Have you seen the Lord of the Rings series on Amazon? I don't have Amazon, so I haven't um seen the Lord of the Rings series. I've been hearing a little bit about it. Like, I've been hearing a little bit about it, but I haven't seen that. And I watched one episode of House of the Dragon, and I don't know. It didn't grab me. It didn't grab me. So I'm not saying I'm not gonna watch it again. I just, I stopped watching it and went back to rewatching Game of Thrones because I was more engaged with my rewatch than I was with House of the Dragon. So, but yeah, I like binge watching stuff. I can't do with the whole week. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that whole wait until all the episodes drop. That's what I do with Disney, and that's probably what I'm going to do with She-Hulk. I'm probably going to wait until all the episodes of She-Hulk drop, and then binge watch that. Um, Game of Thrones was amazing. Yes, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved the books. It's um it's funny rewatching it because I'm actually like I'm rewatching it. I'm reading the books. Like I'm on A Dance with Dragons. So I'm on like the last 300 pages of A Dance with Dragons. So it's funny, sort of rewatching the series and reading the books and seeing but by the time you get to A Dance with Dragons, things are just so completely different. It might as well not be the same series. It might as well just be something completely different and on its own. Yeah, I've heard bad things about She-Hulk, but I've decided I'm gonna decide for myself. Just like I was gonna decide for myself on House of the Dragon. I don't, good or bad, I don't take other people's word for it. I'm gonna decide for myself whether or not She-Hulk is worth watching. Cause like everybody loved what's that one that was just on Disney Plus, Moon Knight. Everybody loved Moon Knight. I couldn't get past episode two. I couldn't get past episode two. So, and everybody loved it. So I'm gonna decide for myself whether or not I like She-Hulk. Um, so yeah. And I think everybody's loving House of the Dragon, and it's not grabbing me. So I like to check things out for myself and decide, because you know what everybody likes I may not like, and what I like everybody else doesn't like, because everybody was just bagging on Obi-Wan, and I liked it. I thought it was great. I thought it was great all the way through, but it could have been because I watched it all in one day. All in one day. Loki was top notch. Yes, I did. I liked Loki. Um, Moon Knight was dry. Yes, dry in some spots. Yes, it it got me. It was dry for me in the beginning, so it didn't grab me. It didn't grab me at all. So I was like, I dropped it, and I haven't. It's one of those things where if I walk away and I am able to walk away and I'm not curious what happens next, and it's been weeks since I dropped it, then I'm like, okay, I'm not really interested in that series. Like I dropped it and then I just didn't care what happened to the homeboy. I'm like, homeboy or the boy inside the I didn't care. So I'm like, yeah, it didn't grab me. Didn't grab me at all. Yes, I loved Obi-Wan too. And I felt it was good for what it was. I loved the arc of Obi-Wan. I love that the way, because it was strange seeing him start off the way he started out, but I understood that he needed an arc in the series, so they started him out as sort of this this sort of used up and spit out Jedi Master, and then when he had that first fight uh with Lord, why can't I say his name? Vader, it was kind of iffy, but then by the last fight, oh my gosh, it was just I was on the literally on the edge of my couch screaming at my TV like, yes, it was awesome. That fight was awesome. Nobody can deny that it was awesome. And also nobody can't deny that Darth Vader was awesome in this series. Darth Vader is like every time you see Darth Vader, it feels like they make him scarier. If I feel like because like in Rogue One, which was kind of a boring movie, he was the best thing in Rogue One. When they introduced him in the dark and he's just breathing, and then all you see is his lightsaber, that was scary. Oh my gosh, that was so scary. And and then again when he's like in Obi-Wan and using his force on that whole spaceship, it's just like they just they seem to build on the they just build on the why can't I think of words? I can't think of words. But they build on Darth Vader, and it just makes him greater. I walked away from the Captain America series. Really? I watched 2 episodes. That episode that was great. Um, Captain America, the Captain America series was great. You should watch that one. That was great. Some of the best Vader scenes I've seen was in Obi-Wan. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Seeing him regain his confidence was amazing. Yes. Those were, yeah. Seeing him regain seeing Obi-Wan regain his confidence was great. The best, it had the best Vader scenes. But yeah, you should go back and you should retry the Captain America series with Anthony Mackie because it really builds, and by the end, I guess I don't know. It depends on what you really like, because it's like I feel like when those series came out, when you had the WandaVision, the Loki, and the what was that, the what did they call it? I can't even remember what they call it. Whatever, the Captain America series, they were each completely different series, and they each had a completely different flavor about it. And that series was very much, it had a very it was very much about what it meant to be a black man and a black superhero, And they went really deep with that. They went deeper than I expected them to go with that. And it wasn't cheesy. And they did it very well. And I liked it. By the end of the show, it was really good. I really liked it. I think they did it very well. And I'm ready for the movie. And I feel like that's what I feel like the show was needed, because otherwise all of that would have had to been pushed into one movie. But now that they had that show, now he could just start off in his movie just being Captain America. He doesn't have to do this build up into going from being the gosh, I can't even remember what his name used to be, being from whatever he used to be into Captain America. Now he's just Captain America. I just don't like Captain America. I think what the other dude, I'm just not a big. Okay, I can understand that. I've never seen anything Ant-Man. Are those movies worth watching? Well, I've seen the Ant-Man movies. The Ant-Man movies are. It depends on what your flavor is. I enjoy the Ant-Man movies. They're funny. They're funny. They're cool. You don't have to watch them to like. It's like I watched them because they were interesting, and because basically like it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You feel like you have to watch them because it's one thing leads to the other. So I watched it to watch it as a whole cohesive unit. You don't really have to watch the Ant-Man series. If you're a fan of Paul Rudd, I would watch it because he's really great in that. But other than that, but it's it's its own thing. I don't know how else to describe it, but oh, I wish I could remember the guy's name. He has a friend in there who goes on these long tangents. Like he tells these stories that are within the movie that are that are just long and complicated, but it's very funny. The way the way it's done is very funny, and it's almost like an aside, kind of like a Family Guy. Um, but it's comedic. It's very comedic. So if you like sort of the comedy side of the superhero genre, I would do Ant-Man. Wait. Tells me you should pass on those. Okay. Not your flavor, I see. uh it's not everybody's flavor. It's not everybody's flavor. And that's the thing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, since it's an entire universe and every movie is so different. Um it's going to be where everything isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea, because you're going to have your Captain Americas, your Guardians of the Galaxies, your Ant-Mans, your Iron Mans. Everything is like it's in its own lane. So everybody has their favorite. Everybody has something that they could, dig and like. You're not gonna like everything. So you can't. You're not. They're not going to be able to please everybody. I guess the only thing that can possibly, attempt to please everybody is the Avengers movies that has, everybody in it. Um, and by their nature, because they have everybody in it, it's meant to please everybody. But the individual movies are never going to please everybody. Marvel does make it feel like you can't miss anything or you're going to be left out. Yeah, that's called marketing. They do that on purpose. They make sure that was what's his name? Josh Whedon, who did the first couple of Avenger movies. He stopped doing it because he wanted to do movies that were standalone. He wanted to do some standalone movies where they were just about the Avengers, a movie within itself that had nothing to do with the cinematic universe. But Marvel was like, no, you have to connect these. You have to not only do your movie, but you have to connect your movie to the cinematic universe because you have to make it so that these people have to feel like they have to watch every single movie. It was like by the time we got to Endgame, I think it was like 22 movies. 22 movies. If anybody would have told me I would have sat through 22 movies just to see Endgame, I would have said, hell no, I wouldn't have done that. And yet I did. I did. And I think I saw every last one of them in the theaters, which is crazy. It's crazy. I can't believe I did that. But they got me to do that. And not only did I see every last one of them in the theaters, but I sat through end credits. I sat through the mid credits to see the mid credit scene. Then I sat to the very end to see the end credit scene while the people who worked in the theater was waiting for all of us to leave so they could get in and clean the theater. But you wait to the very end just to see all of the little end credit scenes to see, because like they had clues to what the next movies were going to be. It's just like everything has to connect. There has to be end credit scenes that connects to the other movies. It's like the mafia. It's all connected. Because you grew up on Tobey Maguire. Yes, Tobey Maguire was my first Spider-Man 2. I love Tobey Maguire. For the longest time, Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 was my favorite superhero movie ever. It was the longest time until there was just this explosion of superhero movies, and I have to redo I'm gonna have to do a top 5 one day. Top 5 of what's my top 5, and I'm having the hardest time picking it. But for the longest time, it was Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock, because it's great. It was awesome. That was no movie could touch that for the longest time. Yes, Marvel movie universe is literally a spider web. Oh my gosh, you didn't see any in the theater, so you're my foil, as they would say in the the foil, as they would say in the movies, the exact opposite. But I can't believe. I think there might have been facts on Toby's movie. Yes, I can't believe. I still can't believe I've seen. There might have been because no, I remember starting with Iron Man because I started with Iron Man. I lived in California at that time, and I saw that in theaters. And even before that, because truthfully, like they started with Iron Man, but truthfully, it starts before Iron Man with the Hulk. But they don't truthfully count it because it's like it's what's his name? It's Edward Norton Hulk. Then they changed the Hulk to why can't I remember it? To the Hulk it is now. I don't know why I can't remember that boy's name, but whoever the Hulk is now. But it started with Edward Norton's Hulk. But it's the same Hulk, even though they recast him, because the same guy who was, General Ross in that movie played General Ross throughout this universe. So and I do believe Tony, I believe Tony was in that end credit scene. I may be misremembering. You have to forgive me. I have a horrible memory. But I believe he came and he spoke with General Ross at the end credits is it the Incredible Hulk? Because there was two Hulks. One was Hulk, one was the Incredible Hulk. And I mixed them up. But yeah. Edward Norton Hulk was great. Yeah. Mark Ruffalo. Yes. There we go. There we go. I don't know what name I was going to give him, but it was Mark. And I know his name, but for whatever reason, it just flew out of my head. But Mark Ruffalo. But yeah, Edward Norton's Hulk. So it truly starts with his Hulk, because General Ross carries over from that movie into the rest of the MCU. So, and I'm pretty sure I saw that in the theaters too. But they don't count that into the 22 movies. So, counting that would be 23 movies for me that I saw in the theater. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But yeah. What are we in? Phase 4. I don't know what this is going to lead up to. I know we were leading up to the Infinity Crisis before. I don't know what crisis we're leading up to now. I have not checked it out. How do you? Oh, I haven't seen the second Venom. I've only seen the first Venom. I haven't seen this. I still have to see the second Venom. I have to see it. Now, those I did not see Venom in the I did not see that in the theater. I saw Venom on cable. So I have to check out Venom, the second Venom, on streaming somewhere. I have to figure out where that is. I liked Venom. I liked the one that I saw. Of course, I like Tom Hardy. I'm a fan of Tom Hardy, and of course, he's very different from the Venom that was in the Tobey Maguire movies. But I guess they took him and since he has his own movie, he went from being a villain to an anti-hero. So that was strange for me. but yeah, that was kind of confusing for me, but I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah. This one, stars. Let There Be Carnage. I don't have stars. Yes, we may have to Jack Sparrow that one if it doesn't come to HBO. Yeah, we may be Jack Sparrowing that one. I don't like to do that, because I feel like after a certain age, I just feel like I can't do that. I can't be going around Jack Sparrowing things. It's like, that was something from my youth, and I felt like I've left that behind. So I can't keep doing that. When Marvel does phase 5 and whatever and restarts everything, are you going to be into that or not? We'll see. We'll see. I don't understand why not. I like comic book movies. So I'm always interested to see what they're going to do. They For me not to be interested, they will have to be doing something really boring or very offensive. So most likely, yeah, I'll I'm gonna be down. Um, so I'm gonna be down. I've liked comic book movies all my little life. Um, yeah, so I'm most likely. I feel like Marvel is not going to stop. There's going to be a phase 50 in Marvel, and I'm going to be going to see Marvel movies with the great grandkids. I'm going to be telling them stories about when this started. This started way back. I feel like it. I feel like we're going to have to start telling our grandkids, we're going to have to prepare them like, okay, here's the 35 movies you need to watch before we go see this movie this weekend. Well, it's going to be way more than 35. It's going to be like 55, but still, you're going to have to sit down with the grandkids and like give them homework in order to take them to the movies and like quiz them and give them homework. Oh, the latest Batman with Zoe Kravitz. Um, well, okay, so I watched it twice. Um, I thought it was very interesting that it would, especially because they took it back to the roots of Batman being, the greatest detective and blah 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 blah. So it was very much sort of like this sort of noirish detective movie. That was cool. I mean, other than that, I don't think it was the greatest second coming of Batman that everyone thinks it is. I thought it was a great detective movie. I thought it was kind of cool. I don't think it was this big, awesome thing that everybody said it was. After I watched it the second time, I was pretty good on it. I was good on it. And hearing the news and hearing rumors that they're going to be bringing back Ben Affleck into the DC EU kind of got me excited, and I'm more excited to see his Batman movie, especially if Joe Manganiello is going to be in it. I would really want to see that movie. Wait, Batman on meth. My sister would agree with you. She felt the same way. she felt like uh she felt like it was a dirty Batman. Yeah, I felt like Zoe and Robert did do a good job. They had a chemistry. They had a chemistry. He was creepy though. It was a creepy Batman. He was very creepy. It was like that first scene when he walked into the scene with not the commissioner, but you know what I'm saying, the man who would be commissioner. Um when he walked into the scene, it was just like it was you're supposed to be on his side, but when all those cops looking at him, I would have looked at him that way too, because he's kind of creepy. It's like he was a very creepy Batman. And he was a very goth, creepy Batman to me. Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh my goodness. It was rather good. Uh, like he was on meth, like the other person said. Yes. Yes. Very much. Uh, very much. So, yeah. So it was very interesting. Um, the music. I forget. I've already forgotten. The music reminded me of something, and I can't remember now what I said the music reminded me of. Oh, my memory is horrible. But every time I listen to it, it took me out of the movie because it reminded me of a whole nother movie. Oh, why can't I remember? But Robert Pattinson would have been a great Terry McGinnis from Batman Beyond. They totally dropped the ball with him. LOL, 35 movies you need to watch before seeing the latest. Uh, Terry McGinn. Oh, from Batman Beyond. That's interesting. That brings up another point with DC, with the Batman Beyond, and like those just movies that they're not making, like taking and like the Nightwing movies, or just anything like Green Lantern with John Stewart, because I love John Stewart, just stuff like that. They're all they ever make is like Superman and Batman. We just now getting them to do Wonder Woman, but it's like there's so many other properties that they could be branching out and doing, kind of like what Marvel's doing. They have just as many properties that they could be doing, but they're just not doing it, and it's just so disappointing. Yes, I think I have Sin City on DVD. I'm pretty sure I have Sin City on DVD. It's amazing. I have a lot of DVDs, so I can't remember all of the DVDs I have. So did I say John Stewart? Oh, you're not familiar with You're not familiar with that? He's the Black Green Lantern. John Stewart is the Black Green Lantern. It's on the theaters. There's the one with Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, the Ryan Reynolds ones was the Hal Jordan. Yeah. So if you, yeah, Monica, if you have, well, you wouldn't have watched it, but like in the animated series, they have a Justice League animated series. You see, they use the Black Green Lantern in the animated series, and you see a lot of John Stewart in that. And if remember, what's that show? The the, the show that Aries Spears was on, that I can't remember it. Mad whatever. The black There was a black guy on that show. He voiced John Stewart. He was the guy who, oh goodness, why can't I remember his name? Not Orlando, definitely not Aries, but the other black guy. Mad TV. Yes. Yes, Mad TV. There was a black guy on Mad TV. He voiced Jon Stewart on the animated Justice League. And I actually got to see him on. There was this panel. I went to the San Diego Comic Con once, and he was on this panel with sort of black comic book writers and black, like, sort of, just black people with comic book writers and animators and things like that. And he was there as a voice artist because he does other characters too. And he was on that panel, so I got to see him in person there. Phil Lamar, yes, that's guy. Yes, it was Phil Lamar. He does the voice of Jon Stewart on Green Lantern. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for helping me, because as you can see, my memory is not all there. I remember bits and pieces of things. Can't remember everything. Okay. Got notifications going off left and right. Okay. So I think, Lord, oh my goodness. That was a while ago for me. I don't think that's not it. I have been on here for, you know what it also is? What it also is. I did have my dinner before here, and I did little tippy tip, and that could also be affecting my memory. I remember everything I don't need and can't remember the stuff I need to. That's me normally. Normally with entertainment trivia, I remember everything with entertainment trivia. So that's why I'm like, forgetting Mark Ruffalo's name, like that's something that I would normally remember. The fact that I'm really thinking it's the tequila that got me forgetting Mark Ruffalo and Phil Lamar's name. Because normally those are the things that I would remember. But not quite. We saying tipsy. I am just a tad bit tipsy. She-Hulk. So you like She-Hulk, Monica? I haven't started it. At all. I just did the first episode of House of Dragons, and it didn't grab me. And so, okay. Maybe a good opening, just saw the first episode. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll check that out. Because House of Dragons didn't grab me at all. I watched that, and then went into the second episode, just watched the opening and saw it was the same as Game of Thrones, and was like, this is unoriginal. So, oh, great talking to you too. Oh, what's your name? His name is Drunk. Or your name is Drunk. Good talking to you too. Nice talking to you. Oh, the birth scene. I couldn't watch the birth scene. I couldn't. Oh my gosh. As you can see, I'm holding my stomach just thinking about it. And then they was going back and forth between that and the fight scene. I was like, I can't watch either one of these. I can't watch the fight and I can't watch the birth. I can't watch either one of these. So I was just on my computer the whole time. So Yeah, I just kept comparing it to the first episode of Game of Thrones and was just like there was just so much going on in the first episode of Game of Thrones that just intrigued me, and I just wasn't as intrigued with this episode as I was with Game of Thrones. It just, and there wasn't anything at the end. There wasn't anything that grabbed me. There was no gotcha that grabbed me that was like, okay, you gotta stick around and see what happens in the next episode that happened with Game of Thrones. So, but yeah, so I couldn't with that. But woman reproduces their reproductive self. Yeah, yeah. But they like to show that women in those times were just they were reproduced to I mean they were reduced to pretty much property. Women are property. Women were, you know, they're property of their fathers and they're property of their husbands. They're only good to be wives and mothers and daughters, not much else. They can't be queens on their own. They won't accept them as leaders. But it's just, like it was the way of the world at that time. But I guess it's leading up to because it's like I know at some point there is a fight over um there is a fight between a girl and somebody else in the history of the Targaryens. I don't know if it's this girl and her uncle. I don't know. Mm, yeah. Yeah, this is true. uh, it was very interesting though, seeing that one of the women was married to a black man. So I don't know if she was doubly, you know, um, prejudiced against. It was like, you a woman and you married to a black man. They don't, I mean, they allowed him on the small council, so they're not showing racial prejudice against him. So I don't know if that's supposed to exist in Westeros, but I'm wondering if there's going to be an undercurrent of that there. So I don't know. I don't know. I hope not. I don't want to deal with racism in Westeros. We got to deal with it everywhere else in the real world. I hope that's we got to deal with misogyny. I don't want to deal with racism. It's like he already got to deal with his wife being passed over. Let's not deal with him. Let's not deal with the fact that he's black too. You know. Yeah, everybody in Westeros is shady. They all shady. They all shady. The dude who sent his daughter to the king's chambers was shady. That was shady. Go wear your mother's dress. Shady. All of them shady. Oh, like really, really, really. Oh my goodness. So it's like that's how you're gonna treat your own daughter. Go on and sleep with the king, why don't you? Mm. But oh yeah, HBO kept coming up. Yeah, the guy who was the hand of the king sent his daughter to the king, sent his daughter to the king. He was like, hey, why don't you go to the king's chambers and comfort him and put on your mother's dress while you're at it? Because her mother had passed away. So it's like put on one of your mother's dresses and go to the king's chambers, i.e., his bedroom, and go comfort him. And she was like, I wouldn't know what to say to him. And he was like, oh, you don't gotta worry about all that. He'll just be happy for the company. To his young daughter, who looked like she wasn't no more than 16 years old. Yes. Oh, no, 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 no. He said that to his daughter, not to the king's daughter, to his daughter. He said that to his daughter. They looked young, however old they were, they looked young. Definitely no more than 16, probably about, I would say, because because of the nature of what do you call it? They had to age up characters in the original Game of Thrones because of British rules, like that you couldn't have young characters be in sexual situations or things like that, even though she wasn't in a sexual situation, but they implied it. I don't know what those rules were. I feel like I don't know. I don't know if this would count since they didn't put her in a sexual situation. I don't know. But she definitely looked about 14 to me. No older than 14 to me. Yeah. But all right. Um, I've been on here for about an hour. Think I'm gonna go get some more tequila. And probably go watch She-Hulk and check that out. Or keep watching Game of Thrones. We'll see which one I do. Um, but it's been great talking about anything other than the merger. Let's do this again.